Hello students, welcome to Legacy As Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the protest that we are seeing in the Balochistan region of Pakistan. Balochistan region is situated along the western region of Pakistan, western part of Pakistan, along the border of Iran. So there many Balochi people, especially people from the you can say young generation, are continuously demanding and asserting their rights against the state of Pakistan. In this context, a committee or a group that is called as Baloch Yakjehti Committee, which is a human rights organization largely led by the women of Balochistan or Balochi women, have organized a very large rally. Large because never before we have seen a participation of such a huge number of Balochi people for demanding their rights, especially of the women in the Balochistan before. So that is why a large rally in the Dal Bandin region of Balochistan, despite the central government of Pakistan responding by internet shutdown and a massive crackdown where many of the protesters were captured and were put in jail by the Pakistani police. So in this context, the leader of this committee has stated that while the state tries to suppress our voices, we continue to protest for our rights. No one can stop us from standing up for our rights because our protests are peaceful and we are determined. So this is about the problem that is brewing or that has been brewing in Balochistan, at least we can say since 1948. Now to give you idea about the location of this region, you can see this is the Pakistan, and there we are seeing the Balochistan, where we have border of Afghanistan, then you have the border of Iran, and then you have Pakistan. Now here we talk about the history of Balochistan. Till 1947, Balochistan comprised multiple chiefdoms. For example, the Ahmad Yar Khan at that time was a chief of Kalat. Kalat, as you can see, was a part of Balochistan. So he was the most powerful leader of that time. But after the Pakistani army invaded Kalat in 1948, he was forced to accede to Pakistan, and then began the merger of Balochistan, or what many Balochi people refer as a forced merger of Balochistan with the state of Pakistan. So this has triggered an insurgency which remains ongoing due to the unjust behavior of Pakistan government toward the Baloch. And the understanding, we can also understand the insurgency from the fact that currently what we are witnessing is the fifth phase of insurgency. So since 1948, insurgency has remained or has become a common way of protesting against the Pakistan. Now, if we talk about the Balochi people specifically, they are the ethnic group that is spread across the Pakistani province of Balochistan, as we discussed in the western part of Pakistan, and the Iran's Sistan and Balochistan province as well. So, the Balochi people, if we talk about that particular ethnic group, they are scattered across the borders of Pakistan as well as Iran. They have their own unique language that is called as Balochi language. Also, they say that their cultural identity is very different from the people of other part of Pakistan, different from ethnic persons in Iran we talk about, or in the Pakistan you have Pashtun, Sindhis and the other people such as Punjabis of Pakistan. And this is the cultural identity which they have continuously fight to maintain and to ensure that it is not overall swept by the people or the culture of the other Pakistani people. Currently, if we talk about the numbers, total 7 million Balochi people are living in Pakistan, while 2 million of such people live in the Iran. However, if we talk about the Balochistan region itself, it hosts about 15 million people of Pakistan. If the total population talk about of Pakistan is standing somewhere at 240 million as per the recent census conducted in the year 2023. So this makes them a minority group in both the countries, whether it is in the Iran or whether it is in the Pakistan. And not only that, unfortunately, in both the countries, they are the group which are at the margins of the society, which are deprived, which are marginalized, which do not have the rights as the other majority group in both the nations. Now, in this context, the BYC, the group that we have discussed about, its significance can be understood from the fact that in the last 50-60 years, Balochi people largely have been fighting against the state of Pakistan, but largely this leadership for the fight was from the older people. Older people means the chief from the tribes, and they had a much more greater influence and power in the province. Now their privilege seems to have been eroded, and now a new leadership, largely from the Baloch middle class and also from the people who are belonging to the younger age group, is seen to be taking charge here. So the new Baloch leaders obviously are young, they are dedicated, they are more educated, and also are articulate in nature. Articulate because now they understand that by the using of power of social media, by using the power of internet and all modern technology, they can raise their voice, they can express their opinion, and they can also effectively communicate their message not only to the people of Pakistan within the boundaries of Pakistan, but also to the rest of world as well. So it is in this context you have to understand these people, the new leadership of the Balochi people, are well versed in the language and concepts of resistance and mobilization, because they have been learning from similar kind of movement across the entire world as well. Now, obviously, because of the resistance being shown by the Balochi people, because of the mass gathering, the rallies and protests that the government has seen, they have responded in the only manner which they know, as the Balochi people claim, is that harsher and harsher treatment and repressive kind of measures taken against the Balochi protesters. Just days before the Dalbandin rally that we are discussing about, Sindh police have launched a crackdown on women protesting against the BYC banner in the Karachi. Not only that, before that, when the Balochi people tried to organize what you can call as Balochi Kitab Karwan, it was basically a kind of movement to promote Balochi literature and education in the southern part of the province. Then a state also has responded by oppression, and this is something that many people refer it as a peak of the state operation in the Balochistan, because we talk about the book fairs and these kind of organization is considered as very peaceful in nature. It is considered as a symbol of prosperity. So even this is something which the Pakistani government did not allow Balochi people to participate in, because they were scared that it will serve as a platform for Balochi people to come together. They will talk with each other, they will raise concern about their status and can plan further rally and disturbance in the later time. So that is why the state has responded by harsh measures or suppressive measures. Now we talk about the Balochi people themselves. They are considered as what you can call as masses who are oppressed and impoverished, and this is not a recent situation. They have been facing this kind of problems for decades and decades. The dynamic of Balochistan obviously is very complex, which is why the situation has not improved but even has worsened over the time. Now, there is a contradiction, because if talk about the region of Balochistan in Pakistan, it is not resource poor. It is not poor in the natural resources. Rather, this region is rich in oil, coal, gold, copper, and even natural gas. Not only that, because of their unique location, they have access to the sea as well. So many ports can be developed there in this area. For example, Gwadar port, that keeps coming in news because of the China-Pakistan economic corridor, is located nowhere else but in the this region of Balochistan itself. So despite rich in the mineral resources, the province is the poorest out of all the 5 provinces that we have in the Pakistan. So these resources, Balochi people claim, obviously they generate substantial amount of revenue for the federal government, but the revenue is not shared or transferred for the benefit of local people. Rather, they claim that most of this revenue is being taken by the people from the other provinces, and the people from Balochistan are forced to remain impoverished. Now here it is not only the Pakistani government, but to some extent many scholars argue that society also is to blame for, because we talk about the Balochi society, which has remained traditional for a very long period of time, and overall still it displays a characteristic of predominantly feudalistic society. Feudalistic society means the society is largely controlled and governed by the Nawabs. Nawab is something that we can equate with a tribal chief, and they play a significant role in the inequality of the provinces, because even within the Balochistan, most of the resources, most of the money, we can say, is largely restricted in the hands of few Nawabs. Not only that, Nawabs are not working for the people at all. They are also corrupt and brutal. For example, we can understand that these Nawabs even operate death squads of their own. They have a private militia of their own who can go capture, ill-treat the majority of the Balochi people. Not even that, they maintain their own private prisons and act with brutal impunity. Recently, we have seen a case where one of the Nawab has kidnapped a woman, Balochi woman from the Balochistan, and it was not the Pakistani government who then interfered. It was due to the massive protest that erupted. The Nawab had to leave the girl. So this is the kind of feudalistic society that has developed and has remained in force since 1940s and even from before that. Now, as far as the Balochi people versus the state of Pakistan is concerned, the current insurgency is what we can refer as the 5th phase of insurgency, which had begun in the early 2000s. And the reason behind this was, as we discussed, Nawabs are the major forces or controlling forces in the Balochi society. So one of such Nawab called as Baloch, a tribal chief called as Nawab Akbar Bukti, he was killed in 2006. And Balochi people claim that it was the state, it was the federal government of Pakistan who was behind such killing, and that is why the insurgency has begun. Now the lead of insurgency or the leading insurgency power here is two forces. One is the Baloch Liberation Army and other is the Balochistan Liberation Front. So they are reportedly, as per Pakistan government is concerned, they said that these forces are not acting in the interest of the Balochi people. Rather, these forces are acting because of the support from the foreign and neighboring countries, obviously hinting to India. Now, the Pakistani state believes that these groups largely consist of young Baloch individuals from Balochistan province, which has drawn the ire of state security institution. Now, let us suppose that even if this claim of the Pakistani federal government is correct, that the Balochi Liberation Army and Balochi Liberation Front are what you can call as the violent group, that is why the Pakistani army, military and the police has to respond in a suppressive and repressive measure. The question is that if they are scared from the armed separatist group, why they are not allowing the Balochi people, the civilian population, to participate in the protest, to participate in the rally where they can peacefully assemble and advocate and demand for their rights? Why they are not allowing even the society or the groups that we talked about in the beginning to participate in the rallies and protests? So that is the question that has been raised by the human rights organization to the Pakistani government. Now, if we talk about the Baloch people's grievances, obviously first grievance, as we discussed, is despite being a mineral rich area, Balochi people have remained impoverished for decades and decades. So they claim that it is because of the misallocation of the resources, because the resources of Balochistan and the revenue generated by the government is used for the benefit of other provinces and the central government. This has contributed to the underdevelopment of the region. Some even alleges that the resources are being exploited and resulting in difficult living condition, which also is further exacerbated by the international and regional players. Here again, the hint is toward the China-Pakistan economic corridor, because Balochi people claim that the China is the one that is having a lead role there. China is the country which is largely benefiting from the resources, the raw material, natural resources, the ports access and all from Balochistan, while the people from Balochistan are not getting anything in the return. Also, the other concern is that whoever try to raise concern and voice against this particular situation against the Pakistani federal government, they are forcefully disappeared. And a recent report has said that almost 40,000 Baloch people are nowhere to found. They have forcefully disappeared. While Pakistani government has contested the claim, they said that the number is about 2,000 and most of these people have returned back to their homes, and some of them are lying in the prison because of their nexus with the terror and violent organization. If we talk about the current scenario, other problem is that the China developed China-Pakistan economic corridor. You talk about Balochi people said that obviously they are taking away all their resources for their own benefit, but on the other hand, they are not even giving them the jobs for the development, economic development projects that is going through the Balochistan. For example, you talk about the engineers, the technical specialists, for these work in this China-Pakistan economic corridor, they were taken from the provinces of Punjab, Sindh and even China, while no jobs were given to the people of Balochistan. So this they considered as a severe injustice being meted out to them. And that is why in the recent years, what we are seeing, that the Balochistan Liberation Front, if we talk about, the Balochi militants, if we talk about, they have not only now targeting they are not only now targeting the Pakistani government or Pakistani forces, they are also began to targeting the Chinese nationals in the country, because they believe that China and the Chinese people are to Chinese workers here are to blame equally for their problems. Other problem also is that extrajudicial killing is something that Balochi people have claimed that Pakistani government has been involved in, and recently an MPhil scholar named Allah Dad Baloch was killed, a death that the community believes was carried out by the state forces. However, since the launch of BYC that we have discussed in the beginning, Baloch protesters demanding basic rights such as the recovery of their missing loved ones and a fair share of the benefits gained from the province's resources have faced increasing repression, because the state or the federal government of Pakistan believes that if Balochi people are able to come under one banner, one organization, and they start to understand that how to protest, how to ask their right, how to we can say ask their rights from the state, then obviously it will create further tensions and trouble in the region of Balochistan, which already they are facing a threat because of the rise of the militant groups such as Balochistan Liberation Front. So this is all about this particular video. I hope you got the idea about what is the reason behind the protest in the Balochistan province of Pakistan, what is the overall history of this province, and how Pakistani government has, we can say, has meted out injustice to the people of this particular region. So if you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your fellow aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more sustainable content. Thank you very much.